Welcome to the Horror Slash Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Megan Sinclair.
Awesome to have you. And how's it going, Megan?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've heard the grave news.
I have, if we're talking about OnlyFans.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I got my email today, and at first when it was all going down, I was like, oh, maybe they're doing it where they're just sort of like cleaning up some of the porn, because like porn has some nasty shit in it, like gross stuff. Like they originally had a statement about getting rid of like very graphic content, so that would include like rape and incest and like genitalia mutilation and all this crazy shit, which is very concerning that it exists.
I was gonna say OnlyFans has rape content.
Oh, I mean, any kind of like, go to any porn site, there's going to be content like that.
Like consensual or actual?
No, like anything. So one of their statements, because I had my little email where it was like, this is how things are going. And it was basically saying like any kind of video that even hints at lack of consent.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because just for our viewers, I do not watch porn. I never have.
Sorry, my dog's growling.
So we're gonna have to defer to Megan, who's the authority figure on that.
I'm next.
I'm just joking. My statement was completely false, but Megan was so busy with her dog that it just fell short. Here's the thing. I do want to set this up because Megan is you have an OnlyFans.
Yes, I have an OnlyFans.
So for people who don't know that, Megan has an OnlyFans. So we are speaking to not only just an opinion, but someone who it affects. So carry on.
Yes. So I got the email. My OnlyFans, though, I'm not affected by this whatsoever. I don't have content that has anything to do with sex, masturbation. I don't really do that type of content. Mine's more like I post a lot of lewd stuff, and then you can tip me extra for nude stuff, which y'all can still subscribe. But it's funny enough, we were considering going to like the next step of doing content like that. And then that's when everything sort of dropped the hammer. So now OnlyFans literally is not doing porn, any type of sex, nothing like that. You can't even like do masturbation on it. You can't touch yourself.
Okay.
And so a lot of the reasoning is because of their payout people. So like MasterCard don't condone sex work. So the reason that they're doing this is because of the money, pretty much. Like they're just doing it because of the money and keeping the people that are paying them out happy instead of, paying forward. Sex workers are what made OnlyFans what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So they're literally they have zero regard for the people that got them to where they are. So,
okay. So, and that's kind of, what I've been hearing, and I've been hearing quotes, and I'm quotes like this. For example, they've used us being the sex workers to build their empire, and now they took away our safe place.
Yeah.
You want to talk about like what they mean by safe place?
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, because I don't know exactly what they're saying, but I think OF is a much more diverse platform. Like I think it includes a lot more people. I think it also includes more within the gay community. Because if you go to any porn site, you go to Pornhub, like the first thing that's on there is like stepmom fucks her stepdaughter, or like girl gets railed by 3 guys. Like it's a very like hetero based company. Pornhub it. Like, I mean, I could do deeper searches, but like, you know what I mean? Like porn is generally like the heterosexual person's platform. And I think OF is a lot more diverse in that front, like especially with like non-binary people and gay people. And I don't know, I think it was a little bit more of an open, cool platform. And now it's like Tumblr was really, really cool. And then they took away like any kind of nudity or anything like that on Tumblr, and then Tumblr sucked.
Yeah.
So it's like they just constantly go around to these places where it's like not the norm and just fucking cut it down.
Yeah. In fairness, to be honest, I mean, you talk about it being a heterosexual kind of thing, like, I mean, that's ultimately where, you know, the fan base of pornography started. I mean, not exclusively, but I mean, it was catered to men. I mean, I remember being in school and, you know, we would talk about, you know, watching porn and the girls would be ew, you know, like, I mean, that's always been kind of the case. So that's nothing new. That, you know, there's some catch up to be had, but absolutely. I think it has been.
Like, instead of moving forward, they're literally taking a massive step back, which is the frustrating part, where it's like, I know where porn gets its roots, but porn can become something even bigger for everyone. Like, there's no shame in porn, but it's also like, now you're making it seem like there is shame in porn for certain groups.
Yeah. So you did mention, you said that you were actually thinking of taking the next step. May I ask what that is?
We were thinking about just doing like basic photo content, like more like gonna dive in, and I wasn't gonna like sleep around. I was just gonna be like cutesy stuff that we do with each other. But then they sort of cut it down, and it's like, now I don't really want to go out of my way to make that content if it's just gonna be a recurring problem like this.
So I was looking at some of the stats, and they say they have 130 million users, which over the last couple of years, I think everybody noticed that OnlyFans was growing, but that number is huge.
Yeah, well, especially because of the pandemic, that it pays a lot of people's bills. I know a lot of people that make all their money on OnlyFans.
So they say they want to cater to and the examples that were used: chefs and cooking, music, business, fitness. But I mean, to me, that just seems like bullshit. I mean, because here's my mentality. Okay. Like, I'm not too familiar with OnlyFans, except for, you know, the model that I see in front of me. But but the thing with me, let's just say I want to start off on music. I want to start off a guitar tutorial. I mean, am I targeting OnlyFans for that? Like, I mean, to me, there's still like that kind of stigma associated with OnlyFans that, like, I don't know that I want to be the guitarist on OnlyFans, because I'm assuming that most people would tune in to watch me play the guitar with my penis or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it just doesn't, I understand what they're trying to do. And like, they're trying to make it like a friendly place, but it's like, just let it be what it is. Like, just stand behind the people that made you millions and billions of dollars and just go for it. Like, instead of chickening out and being like, oh no, MasterCard doesn't like this. Like, that is literally a company controlling how people are living their lives, and people don't see how wrong that is.
It really is. Like, it, you know, there's no two ways about it. Like, they are turning their back on the people that made them. I mean, because maybe there is cooking shows on OnlyFans, but that isn't what made them the money. So, I mean, if corporate sponsorships, banking, and all that, if they're threatening to pull out, you know, because of the content, first of all, why were they even investing in the first place? Like, that's what I'd love to know. Like, you know, like, what OnlyFans all of a sudden
was like, I don't like the idea of this anymore. I hate making money. Because the other thing too is they fucking tax you up the ass.
Yeah.
Like, they tax you 20% on whatever you make. So I was just looking at my stats. I started mine in February and it is now August. My gross income was just about 8,000, but what I've made is 6,800. So like, they really within that ballpark. So they tax everything you do.
Yeah. So my thing is that, like, okay, so you're catering to your investors, but are you like, what's the product gonna be? What's left? What's gonna be left of the product? Like,
that's what I'm saying is, like, yeah, there's still gonna be nude stuff on it, but what I personally want to do is switch to a different platform, simply because I want to support the people that are making their money through sex. Because it's not fair to them. So like, I believe in backing them and being like, this is wrong. So why the fuck am I going to give you my cut of it when I don't even believe in what you're doing? So they're going to be losing people that do just do lingerie or simple nudes because we back the people that are on there creating the platform for us in the first place.
I don't know. Because, like, I mean, I can't speak for all guys. That'd be a mistake. But I will say, like, I mean, you know, you're charging people just to get nudes. It's not like nudes aren't available on like Google Images and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, you know, you're really limiting the person's just library of what they can do, and even just what they can, you know, what they can evoke from like an imagination, like, you know, with the teasing and stuff like that. Like, but like, I'm sorry, guys aren't going to be signing up for whatever fee to see, you know, tasteful nudes.
Well, they do for me, but that's also because I have a TikTok following.
You have a following. You have a following, but okay, but that's the thing. You have a following. That's different. So they will follow, you know, people that they like, people that they're into, and people like and porn stars, established porn stars. But, you know, just other people that are trying to make a go of it, or people that would be starting now. That's tough sledding, because
that's rough.
Right, because you have an established fan base and that works to your favor, but the bottom line is you know, that's not for everybody. Like, you know, you're kind of fortunate in that sense, but
I'm very lucky on my platform. Like where I am, I'm very lucky. But and like, it's funny because somebody even messaged me, one of my subscribers, they're like, well, now what are you gonna do? And I was like, I don't fucking know. So I've been like asking around to like other people that I know that do it. I'm like, where are you going? And they're like, so now everybody's sort of spreading out to different platforms to figure out where to go.
Do you know of other? I think you mentioned that you're not really too sure, obviously, but like,
sure. I was talking to this other girl. We sort of do the same thing. We do like nude and lewd, and we're on the same page. We're like, why the fuck are we gonna stay on OnlyFans? We don't believe in what they're doing. So I think there's one where it's for fans only.
Okay.
So it's very close to it, but it's a lot more open, and you can just post whatever you want. So it's really just a game of who's the next page that's going to blow up and replace OnlyFans.
It sounds like there's going to just be this mass exodus, and I hope MasterCard picks up the bill, because I just don't see how OnlyFans going legitimate in that sense is going to work for them. You're not. People will not go to OnlyFans to find out how to fillet a fish.
It's called Google, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and YouTube. I mean, like, it's just
because even that, like, if you think about it, YouTubers and Instagrammers, they're making money off of just followers.
Yeah.
They don't need people to just like pay money to fully subscribe all that much. Like,
and
a lot of their shit just like, oh, I have a bunch of people following me. Perfect.
Yeah. And like, you know, and unfortunately, like, you know, one of the things that, you know, really gets exposed in this whole thing is the fact that, you know, a lot of adult stars, and we're going to have someone in the future episodes so that maybe they could speak on this, but a lot of them weren't really doing studio productions. They weren't doing they weren't working with production companies to produce content because of OnlyFans. They were able to self-manage themselves, self-manage their content, stay safe, stay, you know, in control. And I think that is where that safe place mentality it comes from. And that's unfortunate, because it was being very well embraced, and now it's like kind of like throwing everybody up to the lions again. I mean, it's
because I mean, a weird thing about me is like, even though I was very late to like the having sex game and being very like who I am today, I used to watch a lot of porn documentaries, and the porn world is not great. Like they chew you up and spit you out. It is not a healthy place to be. So like, it concerns me that now like a safe place is going away, and like all these people that have gotten comfortable making their money that way, like they're going to get thrown into a completely different world if they don't find something similar to OnlyFans with enough revenue through it. So
yeah, it's pretty sad. Now I have been hearing that OnlyFans is kind of wavering on certain things, and that different statements have been coming out. Some saying that it's not fully the truth. I can't speak factually on that, but I wonder if the extreme, backlash will cause them to rethink their decision. I don't know.
I hope they do, because like I got the official email like as a user
Mm-hmm.
or as a like somebody that makes money off the platform. I got like my official email and they listed it no sexual acts of any kind, blah blah blah. So like it's official when it comes to what they're sending out. But I really think like just don't accept MasterCard then. Like it's to be the slut. Like what the fuck? Why does it have to be so hard? It's just very Big Brother-esque.
Yeah.
Is the fact that a company like MasterCard is controlling something like OnlyFans and controlling content and how much content can get to a person, which is very scary.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. And one thing I've learned in recent history, that backlash doesn't change anything. And I'm talking about Masters of the Universe Revelations. Yes, I'm still on that. I know. Well, anyways, we'll see. We'll follow this story as it unfolds. Again, you being in the thick of it, it's cool to have that perspective. But before we change topics, can we get a close up of your fingernails?
Oh yeah. Jason has something about nails.
I do.
I was going for like a very deep, like mossy green for Halloween.
I love it.
Matches my wall very well.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think.
Did you know I have a super fucked up thumb? You ready?
No.
I have a hitchhiker's thumb.
Holy crap. I thought mine was, no, wow, that's pretty impressive.
I can balance shit on this.
It's like it's blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like a perfect 90 degree. Like I've straight up balanced stuff on here, like plates and stuff.
That's pretty funny. But I will say this, despite your distorted thumb, you got awesome nail beds, and that's what I was trying to draw attention to. And yes, these are the things I noticed. And I was saying that women in my life, when they have chipped nails, when they have, they actually hide them from me because I am they don't want to be bullied. Yeah, I don't bully. But anyways, we have I didn't even set up the show at all, but we have, for true crime lovers, we have the captain, as he is known, from True Crime Garage, and this is a massive podcast with a massive following, and rightfully so. And we're gonna bring him on. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited. Okay. He has such a deep, sultry voice. It's very calming.
Exactly. So we'll see if he's ready to go, because we are bringing him on a little earlier than expected. Captain.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm alive.
You're alive. I like that answer. Unlike most of the people in your content. Well, I
barely alive.
I'd love to thank you for joining us.
I'm actually I'm finishing up one little thing real quick. I'm behind on our show right now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So
so you're gonna do it now? We'll take a time out and we'll just watch you work?
No, I'm fine. I'm gonna do it as I talk to you.
Awesome. So this is Megan. Have you met Megan?
Nice to meet you, Megan.
Nice to meet you.
So
have we met in person?
I don't think so. I mean, unless you're in Florida.
Well, or California.
Where are you located out
of? Columbus, Ohio.
Cool. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a co-host that comes on every episode, and she's from Ohio too. I don't know if she's from Columbus. She might be, but it's nice when we have East Coasters on. It makes it easier for the time zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your podcast. First of all, where can we find it?
I mean, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all those.
Okay, cool. And you work with your partner, Nick, correct?
Yes.
So how'd you guys team up?
Well, we've been talking about crime since we're in elementary school, and so it just became we're in a band together in high school, and people would always say, "Oh, you guys should do something else together other than music," and so
Was that a knock on your music, or was it?
No, like we did the best we could. I'd
Okay,
always say.
gotcha.
We're in high school, we didn't really know. Yeah, I don't know if you fully find yourself yet. So a lot of what you're doing is
Yeah,
mimicking,
for sure, for sure.
And so one day we're in his garage and we both got laid off, and it just became this thing because he had nothing to do during the week and neither did I. So he'd be like, "Hey, come up on a Tuesday." And middle of the day on the Tuesday would be drinking and talking about music, and he kept on telling me for about a year, "I'm working on something, but I can't tell you," because you know how everybody does the whole like, "I'm writing a book,"
Yeah.
and then they tell you all about the book, and then 3 years later you're like, "Where's the book?"
Yeah.
And so he's like, "I don't want to be that guy." And so it was like probably the third time that we're drinking in his garage, and he said, "Let's do a podcast," because we're both listening to a lot of podcasts at the time.
Okay.
And I'm like,
what year was this? What year is this around?
This would have been like 2015.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow.
So we're like, when I started listening to podcasts, you actually had to download them to your computer and put them on your iPod.
Yeah. Yeah.
You couldn't even get
like.
The app wasn't even available. So we were big fans of just like the podcast or talk radio in general. And he's always been like a really big Howard Stern fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what's the show going to be about? I was so excited. Like, this is going to be awesome. And he's like, true crime. I'm like, this is depressing. And, but he reminded me, like, I was one of his only friends that would talk to him about it in length. But so it just became this. He's like, every time we talk, we end up talking about it. And the weird thing is that like, I already knew, like, he's the kind of guy that you sit in a room with, and about 30 minutes later, you're like, wow, he knows a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he knows more than maybe he should. And so, yeah, we're just in his garage, and I just jokingly said, "Okay, we'll call it True Crime Garage." And so we recorded like 6 episodes just to see if we could. I mean,
yeah,
we didn't even plan on putting it out. And then we got in this big argument, and I packed up my crap, and I was like, "I'm going home." And
there was a
he
breakup.
says it was,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he says it was a 3-day break. I remember it being like weeks, like not talking to him. And then he like called me, and he was like, "I think we got something special. I think we should put it out." And I'm like, "Sure."
This sounds like band talk. It sounds like you had a breakup, and then like, you're listening to the EP, and you're like, no, we got something.
Yeah, no, we were listening to the record back, and we're like, we got to get this to Rick Rubin, and that's no, but yeah, I don't know. And we put it out, and then, but I don't know if you guys have ever been in bands.
Yeah, not a good one.
I have no musical ability whatsoever. I played the clarinet for a year, and then I called it quits.
Yeah, I love that scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he's playing the clarinet really badly, and he's like, "Never had a lesson a day of my life."
Yeah, that's
like, yeah, we can tell.
I would just hold it and push the buttons, but I wouldn't be breathing through it. I wouldn't be blowing. I would just sit there like that.
Well, but so I worked for a label for a little bit of my life, and I went to school for audio engineering.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the things I did for years was just try to drive traffic to band websites. And it was really hard.
Yeah.
And I had a whole separate Facebook page. I was a jazz artist on a jazz label for a while, and all I did was you try to get people to go to my website, and I would sign up to every like bass player forum and comment, and I'd do this for 6 hours a day and maybe get 10 people to my website.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Well, so we put out the podcast through our website, but it's a free, like, there's no hosting. we have no clue how many people are listening. But the first week we put it out, we're getting like 50 to 100 people a day going to the website. I'm like, this is amazing.
Wow.
This is huge. And then like a couple months go by, and our website provider was like, hey, look, they shut down our website. And everybody's like texting me, can't find your website. I'm like, what is going on? I just paid the bill, And they sent me an email that said, congratulations, your podcast is a success, and you need to find a host. And basically, because this is a free service, we've been letting you guys do it because you guys are successful, but it's costing us money. Because they had
you broke the machine.
Yeah, they had to pay for the data. And then I was like, but it's still at that point, I was like, I don't know what that means, like, and then we had to put it out on a host site, which then we ended up losing like all of our subscribers. So they had to find us again. Like, I remember the first day that we switched the host site, it told us how many listeners. And I'm like thinking, okay, it's going to be 100 or 200 or maybe 500, even like more than, And the first day was like 11,000. And I was like, I was like, wow, there's 11,000 people listening to us, and maybe we should take this a little more serious. Maybe I should start editing the show. So yeah,
that is awesome.
A lot of things changed after that. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. So you guys though, I mean, and you got those followers, which sounds all great, but this was no fluke. I mean, it's obviously you need a little bit of luck, but you guys put in work. Like you guys explore the theories, you guys explore the facts, everything around it. Like, how do you start to tackle a show, like an episode?
I mean, it starts months in advance. A lot of people think that because Nick is the expert. I mean, I don't claim to be the expert on the show. I don't think he claims to be one either, but he is. I mean, I've seen him. It's like parlor tricks. I've heard people go, yeah, I watched this documentary on this one guy and he was killed in 1992. And then Nick will just rattle off the guy's name. And oh yeah, that documentary was done by this, but it was all based off of a book that was written in 1976 by whoever. And you're like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Like,
it shows. Freak, it shows when you listen to it. Like, those were some of the questions I was going to ask, because, the preparation for this, and I'll let you get back to answering that question, but the prep that you guys do, is it. Yeah, I'm listening to it, and I'm listening to it because it's an interesting story. And I'm also listening into like, holy crap, how much work do these guys put into these shows, right? But
it cracks me up when people will say, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. And it's like, no matter what it is on, like even like with your guys' show here, like you have to do some prep. You got to figure out who your guest is. And if you don't, it shows.
It shows. Yeah.
I think, For sure. And I hate when I start listening to a podcast and you're like, do you do no research on your guest? Or like they don't let the guest speak enough, but so what we do is we get a lot of cases that come in through like social media, and then I create like a list which has like, I don't know, over 1,500 cases on it, and then I'll go through and I start Googling them just to like get a taste of what is this case about, is the information about it, and then I normally send that to Nick and say, hey, I think this is a 1-parter, I think it's a 2-parter, but it's interesting, it caught my attention, and then I send that to him, and then whatever catches his attention, then he does. Now he doesn't send cases to me to get the approval, but that's because I've told him from the beginning, like, if it fascinates him, then let's just go with it, because he's the one doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But a lot of people think that, like, for example, we interviewed Maggie Freeling for a show coming up in a couple weeks, and she's doing there was a murder in Alliance, Ohio, and she's doing a whole series on it. So I listened to, I think 15 episodes or something in the last week, and took, pages and pages and pages of notes. And I thought I was going to lead the interview, and Nick basically never let me talk. So, and then you hear some of the questions I ask, and people would be like, did he do any research? Like, yeah, I listened to 15 hours of the podcast.
Like, I got papers of questions.
Yeah. And so I think sometimes, like, people don't understand that sometimes I'm asking questions to just lead the conversation, or but I mean, my research is not near the in-depth as Nick.
No, but the dynamic works, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, you guys are fun there. When did the beer fun start?
Well, that was what's crazy is, like, when Nick said, I have this idea, true crime podcast. I mean, he was like, I'm going to be Nick. And he even thought right away that would give me a nickname. And then he's like, I got this idea for a beer fun. We're going to have a beer every week on the show. And I'm like, what does that have to do with true crime? And now every true crime show has like a beer or wine, or like, you blatantly ripped us off. And then he even had like, this is how I'm going to introduce the show. And then when we get done with the show, I'm going to say, be good, be kind, and don't litter. I'm like, what does don't litter have anything to do with? He's like, it's like Bob Barker, but it was just the fact that he like thought it out.
Yeah. No, I like it.
But it's also like, it's also weird too, like, because when we were in a band together, I would write the music and he would write the words, but I kind of was the leader. And I was also the guy that would show up. And when I was like 14, 15, I wanted to be like Les Claypool. So I was the guy that got a lot of attention in the band because I was doing these parlor tricks basically on bass. And
nice.
And Nick was always like real quick to say, yeah, he's awesome, isn't he? He's amazing. He's fun to be in a band with. And now the role has reversed. Like, I'm the sidekick.
You're the hype man.
I'm basically Flavor Flav, and I wear my big, but also like t-shirt designs, shipping t-shirts, a lot of that, talking with the ad people. A lot of that stuff is a website. I run the website, do all the social media, so it's things that like we just kind of fell into place.
It sounds like
our roles are.
And the irony of it is that you're called the captain. And that being said,
in the boat,
all the research and whatever, like, you were saying about Nick, at the end of the day, it was your voice that caught Megan's ears. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was like, that's a sultry voice on there. Cause I was just listening to you guys today. I was listening to the Bone Crusher, which was absolutely fucking terrifying. I was like, wow, what a sultry voice.
Well, the whole time when we did that episode, all I could think about was taking somebody's ankle and thinking about how hard it must be to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because some websites said, oh, it could take 7 to 8 pounds of pressure, but that's like 7 to 8 pounds of pressure, like at the exact right spot. Other places were saying, look, it's going to take you about 250 pounds of pressure.
Yeah.
To snap somebody's ankle. Can you imagine trying to snap somebody's ankle? And then he broke that kid's femur bone.
Yeah, that got me. When they said the femur, I was like, that's like crazy energy. That's like crazy killer strength. That's what that is. That's like Michael Myers. Like, I don't care. I'm destroying
Jason after he's been hit by lightning, and
like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was listening to I think it was the Icebox Murders. Hopefully I got the title correct.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
And I was like, I mean, it starts off and it just like a normal and then all of a sudden there's the JFK conspiracy in there, and I'm like, holy crap, these guys, like I just, again, I tip my hat to the extensive research, the depths you guys go to. That is and that's not easy, because you get something wrong and you're going to get people, I'm sure. Do you get a lot of people saying, hey, that's not right, that's not what I heard? Do you get a lot of that?
No, so sometimes you'll get like maybe local people that know parts of the story better than you do.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't be privy to. But a lot of times we're talking with family members or retired detectives. So a lot of people are like, where did you guys, the best compliment that I think we get is when another podcaster reaches out and goes, I went to cover this case. I start by listening to your show.
Wow.
And then I can't find half the stuff you guys are talking about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm like, oh, that's because we talked to the lead detective that's been retired.
Yeah.
And so now we got hours and hours of information you've never even heard, and it's not on the internet. So but Nick, again, I mean, heck, 5 years ago, when that's the other thing too, is he knew right away what he wanted to be. He wanted to be, hey, I went and saw this documentary or read this book, now I gotta go listen to these guys, because they're either going to cover everything that these guys covered, but probably more. And he just thought, like, there's a big true crime world.
Yeah.
Even though it's like blew up and it's kind of a fad now, there's still a core audience that really wants to know every detail, and they respect that. Yeah. So his thought is like, maybe we'll never like blow up and be the biggest show, but we'll be the show that people keep going back to.
Yeah.
Over and over.
You guys are so well researched. That was what I was telling Jason today. I was like, I just feel like I got every single bit of information when I listened to you guys. Yeah. I think a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, then this happened. But you guys are like, no, this. Like, oh.
And you're not afraid to like say, okay, this is not a fact. This is just hearsay. This is just a theory. And that's kind of good too, right? Because there's always tons of theories of going around there. So on an average episode, how long does it take to conceive to when you record it? Like the time duration?
Well, we only have a week. So
you do everything in a week.
It's
like even interviews and stuff like that. Like, you said you speak to detectives and agents and stuff like that. Like that is all within that week?
No, sometimes it's like we've already talked to the family or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the show goes out on Tuesday, but by Wednesday we're starting on the next case.
Yeah. Is this your full-time gigs?
The funny thing was, we started when we were laid off.
Yeah.
When it started taking off, Nick got a job, and I didn't have a job yet. So I was like broke, but it was like taking off. We're like, we don't know what this means, but here's this opportunity. I mean, it was so bad. I used to have to borrow money from him. Like, hey man, can I get like $30 just to get groceries? And I'll pay you back next week,
And this is this is profitable for you guys.
Yeah. And Nick's 100%. I still try to do stuff in the music space. But a lot of that is just it's not profitable.
But you're making a living off of this now. Like, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty great.
And I would assume that would help with the amount of time that it would take to produce a show. I mean, having full-time gigs and then still trying to do this would be pretty daunting.
Yeah, at first, because we weren't doing 2-parters, we're just doing 1-parters. But what kept happening was we'd have an hour and a half episode, and then an hour 40-minute episode, and then a 2-hour episode. And then once we started getting advertisements, the ad agencies were like, look, we want your show to be about 50 minutes to an hour, because that's and we could put ads on it. So stop going over, stop doing an hour and a half. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so then we started going, well, if it's an hour and a half and we left stuff out, we can go to 2. Well, we were going to 2. Nick was still working. I don't know how he did it. It was like for months because he was so afraid that, like, what if I quit my job and this doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And I've been a freelance artist my whole life, so I'm used to it, and I kept on telling him, you gotta quit. I'm like, because it won't take off. I think everybody wants to like milk it but there's a period where you're going to have to struggle for a little bit.
For sure.
So,
Absolutely.
and so he had to take.
We're there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like there's two things. One, and I used to tell all my musician friends this all the time. They wouldn't want to teach lessons, or they wouldn't want to get a day job because they thought that would get in the way of like trying to make it. And I'm like, but nobody rehearses on a Monday. Nobody rehearses on a Wednesday. So there's two schools of thought. One, get rid of everything. Don't have a plan B. Then you'll have to make this work. Or, become very busy.
Yeah.
I actually had 3 jobs. I put my ex-wife through college, and I had 3 jobs at the time. And I didn't want to get those 3 jobs, but then I ended up playing more gigs than I ever played in my whole life because for whatever reason, it was like the universe is like, this guy is moving.
Yeah.
We'll just keep giving him stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I always feel that. I feel like if I have more time, I just take that time and just waste it. Like if when I'm busy, sometimes it's tough, but I feel like I get a lot more done. Yeah. So what has been, I guess, I mean, there's so many questions I could ask about it. I'm not gonna, because we're, gonna keep an eye on time, but what was
I have no place to go.
Place to go.
What happens normally is when somebody interviews me, they go, oh yeah, 20 minutes. Then we talk for like 3 hours and then they chop it up. They chop it up and put it like bonus episodes out.
Well, definitely. I mean, definitely we could keep chatting with you. Maybe actually we can have you and Nick on one time together. That would be kind of cool.
It always drives me nuts because people think, oh, we're partners, so we like know each other's schedules.
Yeah.
And we have a schedule for work, but that's it. I mean, I try not to text him at night.
Well, you do so much work together that you need that space for sure, right? Like, I totally get that.
This is the heart grow fonder, Jason.
Yes, I'll learn that lesson. You'll teach it to me one way or another. What has been in all your episodes that you've done? What has been one that just stands out and just is the most fascinating true crime story in your opinion?
I mean, it's
tough.
There's a million of them. One that always sticks out to me is West Memphis 3. And it's because one, as they 3 8-year-old victims in the west of Memphis, they were hogtied and drowned. And then they ended up charging 3 teenagers with the murders. 2 of them got life sentence. One got put on a death row. But it's a weird case because you can identify with. I can identify with the 8-year-old kid riding his bike around his neighborhood. Times did you ride around with your little gang of friends, and the older kids wanted to come pick on you, or something happens, but I can identify as the teenage boy that was listening to Metallica and being misunderstood.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Rob Zombie fan or whatever. I remember my dad thought, because I loved White Zombie when I was a kid, and my dad always thought, oh, you must be a devil worshiper or something.
Oh, no.
And so like you can identify with the victims, and then the 3 teenage boys that were charged with crimes, they become victims. But then if you ever had children, then you could identify with the parents and what they might have had to go through. And then now studying cases, I can identify with law enforcement, even when they make mistakes. I think there's a lot of people in the true crime space that really go hard on law enforcement because I don't think, look, there's thousands and thousands of cases we never cover. And we never cover them because they weren't that interesting. Cops did their jobs. They got the right guy. He's in jail. open and everybody's like, oh, it was open and shut. But those cases could have been worked for years.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that. We talk about the time that the cop messed up.
Yeah.
That cop showed up drunk to the crime scene and he did something, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so, but the other thing too is my father was a detective.
Oh,
so, and which is cool because he he jokingly says that he's like a consultant for our show. Because I'm constantly calling him like, hey dad, have you ever heard of this? Or when you're doing a crime scene, what does this mean? You know, but we're working on a missing person case. His name was Brian Schaefer. He went missing in 2006. It's a pretty famous case, and nobody's really done it justice as far as like doing an actual investigation. And I'm teaming up with a great journalist, Maggie Freeling, that did the disappearance of Mara Murray, and she's done other podcasts. And we're doing an actual investigation where we're hiring investigators, and my father's actually helping me do all that stuff. So it's kind of neat to actually see him work.
That's awesome.
I was gonna say, and he's such an asshole because he's like really charming.
Okay.
Like everywhere we go, he's like charming the pants off these ladies. I'm like this is how you get stuff done, Dad. This is how you get stuff done.
Just charm them.
That's it. You got to use it.
Charm
right? Use what you got.
You got it. You know.
Have you because you guys are again, we've talked about how informative your podcasts are. Have you guys ever had any law enforcement reach out to you guys for information?
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, we had, and I won't say the organization because I don't think they want us to, but we had a state police department reach out to us with a case that said we believe that this person's husband killed them, and they basically just sent us the case files and said, can you cover it on your show, because maybe we can get some traction by people talking about the case. And then we've had a couple retired.
Did you do it?
Yeah. And we had a couple retired officers that like have contacted us and said, hey, there's this case that really bothers me and I can give you all the information you want. And those are the most fascinating because, like I said, those are just things you can't find on the internet. But also, like, families will reach out to, and they'll say, but it's also weird too to cover a case and then to get an email, because we try to reach out to them in advance if we can. But if they don't make contact with us before, we just go ahead and do it. But sometimes they reach out after. And they might say, oh, you got this wrong, or, oh, yeah, you reported that, but that was reported in the papers. And that's, that's what's interesting about any of these cases, even the ones that I feel like we've gone in like super in depth and like, wow, I really know a lot about the case. Once you talk to the family members and law enforcement, you realize that 4-hour show that you can, you talked about for 4 hours and you spent 60 hours that week, researching it, that you just know that the top of the case, you just know that introduction.
Yeah.
And so once you really dive into them with the family members, you learn about how complex some of these cases are.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Honestly, like I said, we could talk to you for a while on this stuff, and I hopefully we can get you back on the show, with new episodes and chat about it, because there's definitely more I'd like to get in there, but we're kind of out of time.
Oh, no problem.
I'd love to thank you for joining the show, Captain.
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
I wish we got to talk a little more horror though.
Oh, you want to talk? Okay, well, let's talk a little bit of horror.
Make time for the man, Jason.
Sorry,
just
make time for him.
Okay, all right. Well, what would you like?
We
to
could
chat
go a little
about?
longer, right?
We can go a little longer.
Sure. I have my questions. I'm ready to go.
All right,
Captain. Name us your top 3 horror movies, or they could be franchises if you can't pick exactly one.
Top 3 would be does Silence of the Lambs count?
Sure.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
close enough.
Yeah.
Probably Silence of the Lambs, and then Halloween, the original, and then Stephen King's It.
Ooh.
The original?
Okay.
The original part 1
Yeah.
of the original.
Yeah.
Good
Not
fix.
even the second half.
Okay.
Once they get to adults and it becomes a spider. Nah.
Yeah.
Lost
No.
me
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Hard pass on that one.
Yeah.
I really like the remake too.
I think the remake's pretty great. I think it was a little digital in the second part, but I think overall it's pretty fucking fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was done well.
I mean, I think there's a charm, because I'd put like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, like in there as well, because there's a charm to like no special effects.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. There's something more disturbing, like with Buffalo Bill, when he's like dressing up and he's dancing around and he has his, can I say penis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penis between his legs, and he's like singing.
Yeah.
Like, there's something that is more horrifying about that, and that's why a lot of these killers are based off of serial killers.
Yeah.
Like, well, Buffalo Bill was a serial killer in that movie, but he did this whole trick where he would, I'm putting this couch into my van, but I got a broken arm. That was
Ted Bundy shit.
Yeah, that was a Ted Bundy move.
Yeah.
Hard.
And I would love to be like a visor on one of those shows, because
I could see you transitioning to that for sure.
Because there's so many things. Like Bundy did a thing where he would let you in the car, but there was no car handle, so you couldn't get out.
Terrifying.
But he wasn't the only killer to do that. Like John Wayne Gacy was known to do that.
Yeah.
A horrifying story is there was a guy that got in the car with John Wayne Gacy, but he had the handles at the time. And when he went to attack him, he ended up jumping out of the car while the car was moving. And then years later, once they arrested John Wayne Gacy, he's like, that's the guy that picked me up. And then I had to jump out of his car.
That's crazy.
And then they asked Gacy about it. They go, so this guy got away? He goes, yeah, that's when I removed all the handles.
Oh,
that's the scariest part, is how quickly they learn.
Yeah.
Is how quickly they pick up on ways to like, oh, this is how I become a better killer.
Yeah.
They adapt, but it's also, there's a falsity to it too, because I think like with Silence of the Lambs, the thing that gets me is like Hannibal is very intellectual, and normally killers don't have that high of a IQ. But like when I grew up, everybody I talked to and we all thought they did. Because that's what Hollywood has kind of portrayed. Oh, there's these genius serial killers, and then you look up somebody like Ed Gein, that so many of Leatherface and all these different characters of horror movies are based off of, and you go, this guy was a moron. I mean, he probably couldn't even have spelled his own name. But I think there's something to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, when Leatherface opens the door, grabs the person, slams the door, and you hear nothing.
Yeah.
You saw nothing, you heard nothing, and you are freaked out of your mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I just watched it, and you guys will know because you're the experts. I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
That is the opposite of what I'm into.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just show you everything. It was torture.
Yeah.
I felt like it's watching torture.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I'm the exact same way with my movies. I think less is more, but that's also because Jaws is one of my favorite movies, and the whole premise of why it was such an amazing horror thriller is because you barely see the shark, but you know he's fucking there. So that's how I feel about stuff. Like I'm not I can't do like the Saw movies and stuff. I think Human Torture is a little rough for me.
Yeah, question for you guys. What horror movie do you think has had like the biggest impact? And let me preference that. Like you brought up Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a kid and you go into the ocean, that's all you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jaws.
Yeah.
Like what movie, or like if you saw the new Stephen King's It, when he goes down to the basement and there's a flood and then the clown comes out, Pennywise comes out.
Yeah.
That makes every kid that sees that doesn't want to go to the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What horror movie do you think has had the most impact, and what scene did they have the impact on? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have one ready to go.
Go ahead.
Psycho, The Shower. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I mean, shampooing my hair and having to spend 2 minutes with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
It freaked me out. Like and I'm not even talking when I was like an 8-year-old. I'm talking like, when I was in my teens, like, I always still had such a vivid image of like, well, I'm closing my eyes now, and when I open them, I really hope there's no one there.
Yeah.
And so Psycho to me is on par with Jaws, I would say. And
that's a good one.
And you have to do it every day, right? Yeah, I mean, well, you don't have to shower every day, but I tend to shower every day. But
but I also think it has the reverse effect, because when you go into a bathroom, I always look behind the shower curtain.
I do too. That shit. I'm like, is anyone in here? And I open it really fast so I seem scary to them.
Yeah, that's like the reverse, right?
Yeah.
My luck is I would like do it really hard and then it would scare them.
Yeah.
It'd scare the killer. You go, oh, and then he would start stabbing me anyways.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. How dare you make me seem weak? I think mine's kind of similar. I think with the Halloween movies, it's just the idea of like somebody just being there and like staring and just like turning, and all of a sudden somebody's there. That shit really gets me. Like, I can't sleep with my blinds open. I have to make sure all my doors are closed at night, because the thought of some silhouette in the doorway freaks me out so bad.
I also think there's something scarier, like when you look at like Jason or you look at Mike Myers, the idea of that they're physically big.
Yeah.
They're big boys.
Like I think Rob Zombie did a really good job when he did his, because he basically created a monster that you would not want to be in a room with.
Yeah.
Well, I always said that even with the leading lady, right? Like it's always a final girl, because I always feel that, I mean, that, is as cliche as it is, it's the dynamic that works, right? Because if it's you at the end versus a killer, I always say it's probably like, if it comes down to a fist fight, it could be a 50-50 chance, unless they're a monster, right? But I'm just saying, right. But with a woman, it's usually not, right? Like, and the percentage of survival is less, the urgency is more, and it works better.
Right. Yeah, I think there's this guy, not Gary Ridgway. There was a guy, Columbus killer. I can't think of his name, but I think they should base a killer off of him. And one of the things he did was some guy screwed him out of some money or something. So he decapitated the guy, takes the guy's head and puts it on his nightstand. So that when you came into the room, the guy's face would be looking at you.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, and then he like laid the body, but like not like, like arms out or anything. I think he just laid the body like but
wow,
he was so freaky that when they would transport him, they would normally have like four or five guards transport somebody, or maybe even just 2 cops would transport him from the jail to the next place. They couldn't pay these guys enough.
Yeah,
they would refuse. Like,
yeah.
And they said that you could see evil in his eyes at all times, where a lot of killers, we had this detective on, and she was talking about how she was interviewing a killer, and once he started talking about killing, it's like his soul like went black and his eyes went black. And this is like a phenomenon that we hear a lot, even about like, oh, Bundy was choking me, one of Bundy's survivors, and said you could see it was like his eyes were black. And I'm like, it's almost like there's something in that's dark inside them that's trying to come out.
Yeah, it's like a killer override, you know, like it just turned.
But I guess this guy was like that way all the time, and they said if you were in the room with him, you could feel almost like electricity coming off of him.
Oof.
And my dad's like one of those guys where he's like, oh, you think that criminal's tough? I'll beat his ass, you know. But I can't remember the guy's name, but when we brought him up to my father, my dad was like, oh no, I would never go that one. I never go around that guy. He was an animal. He was, you know.
And it's funny because that's kind of in contrast to a YouTube series that I saw with interviews with David Berkowitz. I think it was shot in 2017. You may have seen him, like he's wearing like his green jumper. Yeah. And I was just amazed at how articulate he was, how calm. It literally looks like it's a mistake that he's in jail. Like,
and
he looks like a sitcom star.
Yeah, but Berkowitz is different though too, because that's a whole different type of killer. You know, like somebody like Bundy, he wants to see you struggle.
Yeah.
Where a Berkowitz is like, well, I'm just going to shoot you and walk on.
And maybe I'm even following orders and stuff like that too.
Yeah. You know, just And there's going to be that new movie that I think is going to be really awesome with Elijah Wood. It's about I believe the guy was a FBI agent that was basically best friends with Bundy for years when he was in prison.
Wow.
Wow.
And because all these other guys would like try to befriend him because they wanted to write a book, and this guy never really cared too much to write a book, and Bundy would tell people this guy's my best friend, and it looks pretty good.
I mean, it's Elijah Wood, so it's got to be good in my book.
Yeah, he's kind of twisted.
So what's your favorite? If you had a horror movie to suggest to somebody, like that maybe I haven't seen, not like you can't. You know what I mean?
Like not not my favorite, but one that I'm like, oh, everybody should really try out this movie. I mean, mine oddly enough, because I'm not a fan of Midsommar or Hereditary, because I'm just not like a fan of those movies. Oddly enough, the movie I suggest to people is within that realm, is It Follows.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because I don't know, it's just they went out of their way to make you uncomfortable. Like there's a podcast called Mostly Horror Movies, and they actually interviewed the guy that did the music, and just alone with the music, there's no set season, there's no set time period, the technology's all over the place. And it's just meant to make you feel like what the fuck is happening at all times. So I think there was a lot of thought put into it. And it's just the idea of like, oh, that little lady walking towards me is about to fucking kill me. Like, it's just very like, oh, so on edge.
So question for you. You're saying that so if you watch the movie, you can't tell what, like, if it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Or the 60s.
Just that decade, like when it came to the technology was all over the place. There's like a scene where they're wearing like fall jackets and their leaves, but then she's in a bathing suit in a pool. So there's like no set anything, just to constantly keep you like, what is happening? There's like these tiny little psychological touches to keep you confused on purpose.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Have you ever seen the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Yeah.
No.
I can't figure. You got to watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's a good coming of age movie.
Yeah,
but there's some twist to it. Like, it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
And once the twist happens, you're like, oh shit, this is a whole.
It's exactly like that, and then you question everything you had just watched. You're like, where am I?
But one of the cool things about that movie is the time period. You can't tell me what time period is.
That's always
exactly.
cool.
And then it just sort of keeps it open to everyone, so everyone can kind of relate to it. Like whether you're from the 70s or the 90s, you're like, oh, I kind of feel this.
Yeah, I think that's something that I think people are missing. I mean, sometimes it's good to be like, this is about this time period, so let's make it this. But
that
was that was a good one. I can't think of one that like off the top of my head. It's a good question. I mean, I would say maybe but I think this one's pretty popular, but The Omen from 1976. That's definitely one of my favorite ones. And it's very, it could play as supernatural, but it's not. It's very rooted in like, coincidence. And I really love that one. I know that film gets a lot of attention, but maybe not as much as I think it should. Like, I really appreciate that film for what it is. But yeah.
It's a good question. I like that one.
It's funny how much true crime and the horror genre are connected.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, they're best buds.
Because sometimes when I tell people, oh, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, I normally just tend to watch the same ones that I liked.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, I've watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre like, I don't know. I mean, 100 times.
Love it. Love that movie.
And then I tried to watch the one with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh God,
that is so awful.
It's terrible. It's not.
But when he's like touching her face and stuff, it gets uncomfortable.
It does. No, there's moments for sure, but overall, hey, let me ask you something. Dealing with all the true crime and the content and like and then from the beginning of the research and all that, like, is it hard on you? Like, do you need to like cleanse? Is it like, because that seems, it's like heavy stuff all the time.
Yeah. And what's worse though is, like you said, sometimes we're talking to a family on top of the research and whatever else we're doing that week. So you're like doing two crimes at once. And sometimes it just gets to the point where you're like, why bother? Like life is awful. We should all just jump into a river. But then also you have to remind, there's a double-edged sword, because if Mindhunter season 3 came out tonight, I want to watch it, all of it. But it's still the same world.
Yeah. And
so then sometimes you're like, oh, maybe I should back away from this. And I mean, I'm sure you guys get the same thing too. It's like, I have some friends that are huge into horror movies, but after a few days, they're like, okay, I gotta, I need to watch a rom-com.
If I go into like a deep, like I'll do like the docuseries, or I watch a lot of true crime. I was raised on true crime, oddly enough. That's why I'm so fucking paranoid. But like after I do too much true crime or too much horror, I'll have to watch like 3 Disney movies. Like the other night we watched Beethoven, because I was like, I'm in a really dark place right now. I need some Beethoven, some dogs. I just need something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what's tough, and because there's so much good content that's coming out. Like I thought Night Stalker was amazing.
Oh yeah,
that was great.
That was just like the little clips of him driving the car around.
Yeah. That was what's
so cool is the one detective that had the mustache, the guy that his family had to like go away for a while.
The Spanish Spanish guy. Yeah.
So I get into a elevator at CrimeCon. It's like a crime convention, and he's in the elevator with me.
Are you kidding?
And I was like, hey, I've been trying to get my dad to watch, because I know my dad misses being a cop.
Yeah.
Like he still identifies as being a cop. And my dad doesn't want to watch something with blood and guts. And but I told my dad, you'd really like this documentary because it's about the cops.
Yeah.
And it's about
exactly
their theories. And I told him, I was like, my dad's a retired detective who worked for 20 years, and then he worked part-time for 18 years. So 38 years of his life. That's a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
I said, I've been trying to get him to watch your documentary because I think it would make him feel like a cop
Yeah, no, it's great. I think that's nice that they have a completely new perspective, because it's also, you fall into like the rhythm of, oh, this is all about the killer, but then they're not focusing on the poor victims or the victims' families or the people that had to catch them. And I think I like documentaries more that are they go beyond just the killer, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think the tough thing too now is we did some work for some different documentaries, and one of the things that I recorded never aired because they kept telling me you need to say this. I'm like, well, but that's not true.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but that's they had their theory going into the show, and it's like, this is not an investigation.
Yeah.
This is, you came up with a theory, and you're just presenting this. You see what I mean? And they want you to say, whatever it was, and like, and I was just not willing to do it.
Yeah.
And then they cut you out, and you're like, okay, well, it's great that you interviewed me for 6 hours and you didn't use anything, because and you sometimes you'd be like, okay, well, this happened, and they'd go, no, you can't say that, and you're like, but that did happen, know. So
brutal.
So then what happens with the show is sometimes we cover a case, and then people go, well, I watched that documentary and they said this and that, and I go, yeah, but that documentary is not true, even though it's, because when we grew up, it was like Ken Burns documentaries, like you trusted that they were making a real documentary, and then you find out later that so much of this stuff is just bullshit. And you're like, that shouldn't be in the documentary category. You know?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I that was a false ending. This one, unfortunately, is the real ending. I honestly, I had a great time talking to you, and clearly we could do this for another extended period of time.
Yeah. How long is your guys' show?
We tried to aim for an hour, but we never get there. But we have like another segment at Following You, and we're working it out. We're getting there, well,
I had a great time.
We run
you
long.
Guys were great host, and let me know when it comes out, and I'll tell everybody about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will do that. Thank you so much. True Crime Garage. It is the foremost true crime podcast out there. These guys know their stuff, and they're not afraid to talk about it. So thank you so much, Captain, for joining us.
Hey, you guys have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was fun. And now we are going to talk to Sassysledgehammer. You ready for, let's see if she's dancing. Think she's dancing?
Probably.
Let's see.
Ready to go. She's amping herself up. Let's
see. And
there we are.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
We got
good. I like the lighting.
Thank you. I decided, since I have my pumpkin shirt on and my pumpkin spice latte.
Yes, pumpkin's back
today. Yeah, I'm so excited. Awesome. I walked in with this shirt and everyone was like, nice shirt. And I was like, thanks, Spirit Halloween. And then I went to Target to buy like pumpkin smellies, and everyone was like, oh, isn't it too soon? And I was like, it's never too soon for Halloween. And we're all like, yeah.
His spirit's open. Yeah, I saw your tweet, and with you taking Spirit by storm, and that was hilarious. That was really funny.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a couple of pictures for my boyfriend took his real camera, and there's like professional looking photos of me like this and Spirit Halloween.
That's so funny. I see you that sassy entrance you gave, and I'm like, I'm just picturing the people in the store like saying, what the hell is going on? It's August.
Chick.
Yeah,
I know.
But
the lady at the front counter did offer me a job, and I was like, I'll consider it. Can I do like 4 hours? She's like, totally. People do that all the time. I was like, for the discount?
For the discount? Maybe. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because my friend got a job, and he only works like a couple days a week there at night. Nice. And he said that you get 30% off. And then at the end of the year, you get 50% off plus the 30% on top of that. So you get 80% off of the Halloween stuff.
Wow. And I would just hoard stuff. I'm like, this is my corner. Nobody's gonna near it.
She was like, oh, they're putting out stuff I didn't even see. And I was like, that's why I come here, gotta get it before everybody else does.
Good for you. Good stuff. You shop like nobody's watching. And that's most people don't.
I do. It's a problem, actually.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay. It was entertaining. For those of you who haven't seen that tweet or that post, you got to check it out.
Yeah. Then we went to At Home and I bought a giant skeleton and a ton of other stuff. Let's just say it was the first shopping experience of the year. And,
do you buy a skeleton every week? I think you said that last week too.
I actually bought a full length skeleton this week. It was like, he's like pretty big and heavy at home. And his name is Carl.
I like that.
I don't know what it is. I looked at him and I said, that's a Carl. But I asked my boyfriend, I was like, what do you think we should name him? I'm like, please say Carl. And he goes, Carl. And I was like, oh my God, he's definitely a Carl.
Okay. Yeah. With a C or with a K?
Well, we decided to use a C, but we call him Skull Carl or Scarl, but that has a K. So in any case, just a lot of stuff. But like skulls out.
All right.
Wazoo.
Awesome. Let's talk some shop.
Let's talk shop. All right. So Jacob's Wife, starring Barbara Crampton, is finally on Shudder. Everybody has been raving about it. I'm so excited. It's finally there. I did watch it, and I think it was extremely fun. Yeah. So I would ask anybody to check that out. You can pre-order a new 4K Blu-ray and digital copy of American Psycho Steelbook from Best Buy. It's $20. Which I think is such a steal. And the art on it is really cool because the slip cover has him like peeling off the mask and you flip it up and his eyes, and it's just all the blood in the suit. So it's like awesome. Really, really cool. That's cool. I think I'm going to get it because I love that movie so much. Yeah. Unfortunately, Marilyn Eastman passed away. She not only played Helen Cooper in Night of the Living Dead, but she is a founding member of Image 10, helped with prop and makeup duties, and even played one of the film's memorable zombies. Cool. So R.I.P.
Well, not cool that she's dead.
But
I didn't know the other stuff.
Lot. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Well, 31 Nights of Halloween has announced their Halloween Road drive-through experience at the Heritage Square Museum in Los Angeles. They had one last October and it's coming back. This year's event is a walkthrough experience. The outdoor immersive event will feature the worlds of Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, The Addams Family, and other spectacular surprises filled with games, photo moments, live entertainment, and prizes. The experience will take place at the Heritage Square Museum in LA and is open to the public from Friday, October 1st through Tuesday, October 5th.
That sounds so freaking cute.
Fun. Yeah.
Gosh darn it, LA.
Yeah.
For anybody who really liked the movie Creep, which I did, the director, Patrick Bryce, is having a new movie come out called There's Someone Inside Your House, which is coming to Netflix in October, in addition to a slew of other horror movies coming to Netflix in October.
I can imagine.
But I love Creep, so that stood out to me.
Creep is great.
You're going to be busy in October.
Already. I'm like, fuck.
So excited. Zack Snyder's zombie movie Army of the Dead is getting 2 different follow-up projects, including a prequel anime series titled Army of the Dead Lost Vegas. And the other project is a live-action prequel movie titled Army of Thieves, which is coming to Netflix on October 29th. So pretty soon. Yeah. Awesome. I know we talked about that earlier.
Cool.
This year's AMC Fear Fest will feature 80 different horror films, 80. A mixture of the classics we all love and some of the newer films that are pretty well loved as well. This year's lineup includes Halloween, Underworld, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Destination, The Shining, and Scream, along with a brand new season of Eli Roth's History of Horror and the second season of Shudder's Creepshow. AMC Fear Fest, of course, starts on October 1st and runs through Halloween.
Cool.
I love turning that channel on, and then it's just like, now back to AMC's Fear Fest, and you're just like, like everybody everywhere is like in the world that we live in, it's like everyone else is involved in it. It's like the one time of year when, at least, I don't know about Canada, but here in the United States, it feels like we are just living in like our brain.
Yeah, no,
everywhere.
It's the same.
Yeah?
It's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's especially like, geographically, like we're close.
Mhm.
But I just hate how AMC just mutilates films with edits. That's my only issue, right?
But there's something about it when, I see A Nightmare on Elm Street is on TV and I know that they're going to cut stuff out, but I am so jazzed that it is on TV for whatever reason. I have to watch it.
I agree with you.
I have to watch it.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's really exciting for me to see that it's going to be on here because everybody else has to watch it too.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, oh, so you just watched that on AMC Fear Fest? Hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So you are clearly pumped. Holy.
So pumped.
I love it.
We have Addams Family news literally every week, not only from the Freeform thing, but also the sequel to the animated film. So Addams Family 2 will now be a hybrid theatrical and at-home release. MGM's sequel will release in theaters and on premium video on demand October 1st.
Wow. We're gonna have
so that's awesome.
We're gonna create a segment.
I know. Addams Family.
Yeah.
The Saw director James Wan is calling back to his love of giallo with *Malignant*, which everybody has been talking about. Mm-hmm. His surprise low-budget horror, quote unquote. He says, "It's my take on that particular '80s trope of storytelling where a victim starts seeing through the vision of the killer." Wan told Games Radar, Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema will release this film in theaters and on HBO Max, cha-ching, on September 10th. Nice. So sooner than October. I'm very excited about that.
Very close, honestly.
Yeah.
Sooner than October. You are correct.
Even like the Army of the Dead news, I was like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, October already? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sci-Fi's Day of the Dead series, based on George A. Romero's zombie classic, will also premiere in October on the 15th.
Cool.
Okay.
On Sci-Fi. Yes.
Yeah. Sweet.
Gateway Horror is coming to Disney Plus. So I had this thought this week, and I was like, because I was watching, or maybe I mentioned it last week. I can't remember. I feel like I tell a lot of people stuff, but I was watching something on Disney Plus about the creation of several rides, and they were talking about the Haunted Mansion, and Walt was like, everybody likes to be scared. And they were like, that's why he put all the scary stuff in all the movies. And I was like, oh, Walt likes the idea of horror. And a lot of horror fans also like Disney. I don't know if it's like as many Disney fans like horror, but like a lot of horror fans definitely like Disney. And we were traumatized. Like for me, I could just think about Snow White and then Ursula getting super large in The Little Mermaid. Pinocchio, I've only seen it twice. It's super scary. And I was like, man, I would like to do a documentary, like mini YouTube documentary of just like this phenomenon of Disney and horror fans and everything like that. So this week, I saw this news that Gateway Horror is coming to Disney Plus. Somebody had actually commented on my my inquiry. I put it on Twitter, and they were like, "If only Disney would do a horror movie." I mean, they've done scary movies before. They've done Halloween Town. They've done like Watch from the Woods and stuff. And Don't Look Under the Bed. It's like terrifying. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But this is an R.L. Stine collaboration. This is called Just Beyond. It's an anthology series based on R.L. Stine's comic book series and is coming this fall. Disney Plus has given an 8-episode order to the series. I didn't see any details about a release date, but
that's interesting.
I'm assuming maybe October, maybe September sometime, hopefully October, hopefully not November. I don't want to wait that long, but R.L. Stine, Disney Plus team up. So that's going to be really cool. So those were the highlights of the week.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. That's interesting. Yeah, that'll be cool. Good job as always. I never doubt that you're gonna deliver, but I'm always impressed nonetheless.
All right, let's talk about the results of the polls.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I'm looking at you, Jason, because I saw you voted on these.
Yeah.
And so did a lot of my friends, and they had shocking answers, and I'm gonna have to give them a good talking to. The first one, do you think Freddy vs. Jason is a good film? Twitter, 84.2% said hell yeah. 15.8% said hell nah. And they're not allowed to follow me anymore. Instagram, 82% said yes, and no was 18%. And among that was, of course, this guy right here.
Okay, yeah. And I'm telling you that the poll is wrong. It is a terrible film. And I'll just leave it at that. I hate this film. I wanted to like it, but Freddy's Kung Fu oh wow. I look up and I see
just got real dark in here.
It did, yeah.
You can't. This is to hide me from rolling my eyes.
Freddy's yeah. Last week there was a few of those. Freddy's a kung fu master.
Freddy can be whatever the fuck he wants to be. It's Freddy. That's his whole thing.
But this was when he was dragged out into reality, not in a dreamland. This is when he was out in reality. Monica Kena's line
some skills.
Jason's afraid of water. Freddy's afraid of fire. Can we make that? Oh my.
Okay, that is a stupid line, and Laurie is honestly my least favorite character out of anything related to Elm Street. That includes the remake. Like, I just absolutely think she's just screams and whines, and like her arm does this thing when she screams. And I know it has its moments. I know, but it's just
Kelly Rowland,
popcorn fun.
Kelly Rowland.
We know.
Oh my God. Like, it just was so not what I wanted. And, maybe it was because, hey, I spent more years of my life waiting for it than you, and maybe that made me a little bit more jaded. I have no idea, but I find the film to be very, very hard to watch. I found what's his name, Ken
Kirzinger.
Yeah, I didn't like his frame for Jason, not especially because he was like 1.5 feet taller than Robert Englund. I get that whole thing, and it's not like I'm like raw Kane Hodder, but I just didn't like that casting choice. There was a lot I didn't like about this movie, but ultimately I just felt it was cheesy, and I love bad cheesy horror films. I do. So
you should have loved them.
It's not like I'm a snob, but I just thought it was ridiculous. Except for the fact that Jason kicked Freddy's ass in the end.
No, I'm not getting in between this fight.
You want to put on your sunglasses and I'll say that line again?
He did not. Laurie technically cut his head off, Freddy's head off. So technically it was Laurie because Jason fell into the water and Laurie just lended a hand, I mean, Freddy was up. He was ready to like kick her ass. He would have totally murdered Laurie had Jason not come out of the water, but then Laurie cut his head off.
Freddy was Bruce Lee in the film. At times I was like, what am I watching? But okay,
man, the torpedoes are coming your way.
I know. I stood up to the sassy sledgehammer and lived to tell about it. But
so far,
right.
Are you a fan of Blumhouse films?
She's quitting the show.
Question. It was the second question. Twitter said 89.2% said yes and 10.8% said no. Instagram, 85% said yes and 15% said no, including my sister. And I was like, you don't even know what Blumhouse is, I don't think. So why did you vote on that?
Maybe it was a scrolling thumb.
Throwing off the polls.
But she likes Freddy versus Jason.
Okay.
She has some taste,
Yeah.
She
might be like a basic bitch, but let me tell you what, she likes that movie. She's cool.
I guess, yeah. I'm not a fan of Blumhouse either.
I saw.
Yeah.
So tell me about it.
I was in the minority, but I feel Blumhouse is is purchasing properties, and I don't love what they're doing. But that doesn't mean I hate every film that they've produced. But I just overall I look at the body of work and I'm not impressed. And I hate how they're going after all these intellectual properties of the past just to remake them. I never like a company that does that. And don't ask me if there's any other examples because I can't think of any. But I'm just saying, it just seems like they're just really trying to go after these properties, make them new. And I don't like what they've been doing. I like some of the more original material they've done. And I think that's where they should kind of focus a little bit more of their attention.
Jason, you just don't like change. That's what we've learned from you.
I know.
You're not like change on anything.
I know.
What about you, Megan? Can you weigh in on that? Or is that like too close to work?
Blumhouse. I don't know. It's kind of nice. I like Blumhouse. I really have no bad things to say. I mean, not all their stuff's amazing, but I mean, they've also reinvigorated the idea of horror movies. I think there's a lot more now because of Blumhouse. And Blumhouse also has its feet in like some weird other stuff that has nothing to do with horror. So they're just a production company to begin with. They're not always going to produce masterpieces.
But we're talking, okay, fair enough. But we're talking about the horror aspect of.
Yeah, I still like it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a tough critic, and I'll tell you something. It's tough to be a tough critic these days because people are automatically labeling you a hater. And that's not the case. I'm not a hater, but
You're not a hater. You just have wrong opinions.
I have valid, mature, and thought-provoking and thoughtful. Whatever. Anyways, I lost.
I'm gonna get a pair for the next episode.
I lost both. And
I was like, knock him out. And I was like,
I gotta
put on the sunglasses.
And damn you for getting so many votes, because I was like, do I start up Twitter accounts just to vote and sway the vote? But you get so many votes, I'd have to start up. For
real?
No, I wasn't really going there. But
he doesn't have the energy to do that.
No, I don't. I don't.
All right. So the poll question for this week, you did mention that you like A24. So I wonder if people had to pick Blumhouse or A24, or
that's a good.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. That's one that kind of popped out to me.
Hey, I'm so we're thinking of putting Blumhouse in 2 polls in a row just to piss me off. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is revenge.
I have one because we had William Butler on the first episode, and he does a lot of work for Full Moon features, which I love, and I always say they're like this independent horror film company that just keeps going. But it does have its followers. Why don't we put them against each other and see which one fans like, Full Moon Features or Blumhouse?
Oh, that's going to be a hard one, though. That's so many. That's 2 completely different age groups.
It is, but Full Moon is still going strong. I mean, I don't know. I think that, I don't know. I'd be curious because I think it does have its followers, but if you don't think so,
I'm
then
excited
fine. I'll just leave.
I think Blumhouse is going to win.
Well, probably everybody's sipping the Kool-Aid, the Blumhouse Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, I'm chugging it.
Yeah. I'll put some vodka in it.
I mean, they dropped a trailer for that mini series that they're doing, that Gigi, who did Culture Shock on Hulu. Their mini series again. I think Richard Brake is in hers. I could not get that out. I think he's in hers, if I could tell correctly. But it looked pretty sweet. I mean, I like it when they do some projects like that. It's just different things. So
I also just have like collections, like they did all the holiday release ones. They have a new one for each holiday. I thought that was fun. Like I think they get creative, even though they know that they're gonna fail on half the shit that they do. Yeah, it's just a fun idea.
Yeah. Oh, we know. I was actually thinking about it in the car. I was like, I really want to watch Halloween 2018. I haven't seen it in a while. But I have to convince my SO, whose name is also Jason.
I like him.
I know. Apparently it's a good name. There are a lot of horror fans actually named Jason. Like, I don't know if it's just me noticing it now or if it's like a thing that's been going on.
I think I told Megan this. Did you know my middle name is Michael? I swear to God.
That's
Jason
hilarious.
Michael. Yeah. So I was born into this. So therefore my opinions matter more than all these.
What? My birthday's in October. Like.
Okay, so.
And I'm in Ohio, and I mean, and Elm Street takes place in Ohio. Wes Craven's from Northeast Ohio. I'm from Northeast Ohio.
Oh, okay. So
creepers.
We had a true crime guy on just before you from Ohio.
Look at us.
And as you ladies know, that we have someone else that's going to be doing some segments on this show that we're going to announce a little bit later, but we'll just say it right now. Spooky B Peach, also from Ohio. So I don't know what's in the water in Ohio, but it's infesting the horror / community. And I like it. Despite my attitude and your eye rolls, I like you, Diandra. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Ohio is about 62% there, you know.
Hey, and you know what? Ohio has 62% where?
on Team Jason.
Oh, okay. I know.
You, Jason, Team Freddie, it's all the way. There's no question. Maybe there's like one person, but you know.
You're gonna like the shirt I'm gonna wear next week for you, or next podcast, whatever it is. You'll like it, and you better comment on it.
Better be Nancy. You don't have a Nancy shirt, do you?
Listen,
I've been fighting this battle for like 12 years.
Guys wearing Nancy shirts aren't that, it's not that common. It's not that I wouldn't do it.
Let me just message Heather and be like, you never believe when I heard today. I'm gonna send her your picture and be like, this SOB.
No, you'll like it. You'll like my shirt. You'll like my shirt. You probably have it. But anyways, so that's a hint right there. Hey, how about this? We had a guy from True Crime Garage on our podcast. Really, really good guy. How about we leave an open-ended question? What's your favorite true crime podcast?
Ooh, good one. Yeah, good one. You know what would also be a really good poll too is as a horror fan, do you also like true crime? Because some people do, but me, I'm not really into it. I just can't get into it.
Right? It's like,
it's so funny. I'm like, tear her head off with a piano wire. But this disappearing woman, like I just can't.
This is too much.
I hear you. I hear you on that. Sometimes I feel it's a little intense for me, just like because it's reality and it's just like it's out there. Horror films, I could turn it off like and just appreciate it as entertainment in a second. But true crime can linger with me.
I'm very big on true crime, but I also have crippling anxiety now. So
that
maybe if I wasn't in true crime, I wouldn't be like this.
Maybe you should probably look to limit your true crime intake.
Well, funny enough, my parents like fucking raised me on it. Like as I can't even remember a time where I wasn't watching true crime. Like we would start with like the disappeared and like any type of news station. My dad would be on it. He'd be like, my dad and my mom both love it. So there was no.
Do they love horror too? Did they raise you on horror or was it mostly true crime?
No, they raised me on true crime. So just shit that's like real life scary. That's what they raised me on. And they're like, why do all 4 of our kids have crippling anxiety? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we got it. We got 2 questions, I think, that are pretty good. What's your true crime? Because I'm curious. I want to know which one. Like the guys we had on. I mean, they've got a fan base like crazy, and like we were saying, well deserved. They're so well researched. But I'm curious to see which is the big one out there that everybody likes. And if you as a horror fan, what are we going to word it as a horror fan? Are you into true crime?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'd love to find out how many people really are, because I've kind of seen a mixed bag, so it'd be interesting. Maybe that'll be a close poll.
We haven't had one in a while. We've had some landslides, so we gotta see if we can keep it close. And all right, so we're good.
Awesome.
We're good for another week. We're gonna have some fun things on the show, and of course, you'll be here for it all. And that's about it. That's all I got to say. I got off easy with you. I want to sever ties with you for now before you clue into before you clue into something I said. You're like, wait. So
yeah. Well, we're good. We're good for now. All right.
We're good. Peace.
Sledgehammer out.
Peace out.
Hey
guys. You know what?
I didn't even bully you this week.
You beat me to the punch.
So nice today. You complimented my nail beds. Now I'm like, Jason's my friend for the day.
Your lighting is like it's from beginning to end. Your lighting's great. Your sun's great. Your nail beds are great. You know what? You beat me to the punch. I was just about to say this whole episode we got along.
Yeah,
I love it.
I can do.
We can do it. There's hope for us yet.
There's hope for us yet. Yeah.
All right. So, but that being said, we're good. We're done.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a good show.
So thanks for watching. And next week, Megan and I are going to talk Quentin Tarantino. We are going to list our favorite top 3 Quentin Tarantino films, some of the good ones, some of the bad ones, just a lot of Tarantino conversation. You ready for it, Megan?
I think we're going to debate on one too.
I think so. Yep. But there's lots to uncover with that guy. So I'm looking forward to it. And that's about it for this week. Thanks for watching the Horror Slash from lovely Megan.
Bye, everyone.
Great lighting. Great lighting. Great smiles. Great nail beds. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.